There we go. Ooh, Celi's here. I'm assuming we'll just chit chat for like 5 minutes as people join us, and then we'll start talking about getting a play read.
Actually, I have a question because I feel a little bit like an outlier over here in New South Wales. I'm a theatre designer, like so many, and I'm interested in the charrette, but I'm wondering, at what point do we start talking about designing the plays?
We're going to actually start talking about it today, just to
Oh,
like lay the foundation of how we see it proceeding. And then
brilliant.
you're kind of encouraged to start when you have time / when you're interested, kind of after today's conversation where we explain our expectations.
Fantastic, great. Because I was worried that I'd missed something and that everyone was already like creating designs left, right, and center. So no, thank you. That's great. That's that puts me at ease.
Yeah, no problem. I think that like this is our first event where it's Triga led, and we're not joining some other organization, which has been amazing. So this will be our first chance to actually talk about C concepts and how we hope to move forward. So you're right on time.
Hi, Kristen. Glad you can make it.
Yeah, me too. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to, so it's nice to see everyone.
It's nice to see you too.
So where is everybody else coming from today?
Why don't we do a little round of hello, since it's like 5 minutes in? I feel like we can start, and if people join us, we'll welcome them. So I'll go first, and then I'll just I'll just name the next person, and we'll just go that way. So I'm Alex, and I'm one part of Triga, and I'm in Toronto right now. And then I'll pass it to Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Tracy. I'm another member of Triga. I'm a stage designer. I design sets and costumes and occasionally lights and projections. I'm joining you from Toronto or Toronto, and I'll pass it to Andrew.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm a costume designer and I do some set design work, but mostly costume. And I'm from Toronto. And I'll pass it to Kristen.
Hello, I am Kristen, and I am pretty much exclusively a costume designer. I have dabbled in props. It went poorly. Don't want to do that again. And I am calling in from Chicago. And I will pass it to Imogen.
Hi, I'm Imogen. I'm a set and costume designer living in Australia. I do mostly live events and non-traditional theatre forms at the moment. And I'm moving more and more into an individual arts practice involving ecological thinking and ecoscenography. And I'm going to pass to Celi.
Hi there, I'm Celi. I'm joining from Montreal, also known as Jojagger. Just really briefly, I'm not going to say I'm working professionally in design at this point, but my mother was a costume designer. My stepfather was a set and stage designer. I have done quite a bit in backstage, front stage, all around stage since I was a child, and also more permaculture design in like a trained context in recent years.
Amazing. Well, thank you all for joining in. As I said, we may have people pop in, and please feel free to pop out if you need to for any reason. I'm recording these sessions, so I'll share it with everybody in the next weekly, or Michelle will probably. And so you can all have access to it. And I wanted to start really quick by just talking about what the heck we're doing here, because I know that there's been a lot of curiosity from everybody who hasn't joined us in the first shred. So briefly, the premise of the work we're doing together is to read all 50 plays, and we'll start that today. And then after accomplishing that amazing feat in itself, we're going to try to come up with at least one seed concept for each play. And we established this idea of a seed concept in our charrette 2 years ago, which was in person in our studio. And essentially a seed concept is your first design instinct, your first gesture, your first idea, and it's expressed in whatever way makes the most sense for you and for that play and for that idea. And if you check out our website at Triga Creative, you can see some photos of examples. We also sent them in the open call, so you may have already seen them. But essentially the range was from sketch models to watercolor, costume renderings, to digital drawings of all natures, to prototypes being built, to material exploration. So it's really wide open. And our goal here is to expand the definition of eco-scenography, not only through our product seed concepts, but also through the process. So like, by all means, add new things, change things. This is a time for us to come together and to try new things through having tiny, short 5-minute plays to work out ideas with. And then the function of these readings and design conversations is essentially just to stimulate our imaginations around these plays and to get us started on our seed concepts. And I'll just share that in our first charrette, it was incredible to use these conversations as a stepping off point for everybody involved. And I'll give you a personal example. Last year, we had one of our facilitators, Danielle Worley, join us in one of our play readings and discussions. And we were reading a play and she started sketching and she just kind of showed everybody her sketch. And it really inspired me and another participant, Beatrice, and we ran with that and created a sketch model from her drawing. So it's really a shared space. It's an opportunity for us to expand on each other's instincts and to really generate inspiration from being together and talking together about the plays. And so there's a small to huge chance that somebody who's not even here right now could listen to this recording and be super inspired by the first idea that comes to your mind when you speak about a play and like extend it in a way you could never imagine. And that's a gift. That's the gift of this kind of work, where it's like there's no production coming of this. So expanding on each other's ideas is the point. So that being said, I just created a spreadsheet in the Google folder that we shared with you in the weekly with all the plays in it. And it is the sign up sheet. And so moving forward, any play that we read together or that is read as part of some of the other programming that we have, for example, in the eco-scenography reading group or in one of Ian's classes, feel free as soon as you're inspired to sign up and just put your name as someone who wants to work on that play. I love a spreadsheet too. Thank you. Yeah, feel free to sign up, and there can be more than one designer signed up for a particular play. So don't feel like you need to just have one person per play. We're going to probably overlap with each other, as well as with some students who will be joining us as part of the Global Networked Learning Program, who will be coming from York University and from 2 universities in Australia. So there is going to be overlap, and that's great. And there may also be a point at which we ask people to fill in some gaps because of those natural overlaps. So at this point, just follow your instinct, follow your gut. Feel free to start whenever you want, and feel free to spend as much time as you want on a seed concept. If it's a napkin sketch, great. Like, that's where our expectations start. Anything beyond that is all you and what you have to give at this point in time. So any questions before we start reading? Oh my God, I love when I'm clear. That's amazing. So if you look at the spreadsheet, you'll see that I've already grayed out some of the plays. Those are plays that we've already read as part of the programming or are definitely planning to read through other programming. So just by process of elimination, we're going to skip through those in these sessions in an effort to try to get through all the plays. If you missed some of those other sessions, / you can't be there, feel free to read them on your own. It's like no big deal. Yes.
I've opened up the 0 list of plays and I can't see anything grayed out.
I know, it's number 2. So that list of plays was provided by the CCTA, and then the spreadsheet with the number 2, that's the one I created for the sign up. So that first one is more information about the playwrights and the plays themselves, whereas the number 2 spreadsheet is ours. So yeah, so if there's no other questions, we just thought we'd go alphabetically and start at the top. And then once we reach those grayed out ones, which we won't today, we'll move on. So I'm just gonna open up my own copy of the plays. I guess
Anyone looking for the Google Drive link, or has everyone been able to pull it up?
Great. Thanks, Michelle. That was my next question. And if people do hop in and out, what I'm going to do is I'll just like, we'll pause our readings and we'll say our hellos. It's like, this is super casual. It's like we were in a studio together and we're just chatting. So we'll just pause it if people come. And if you have to go, just like interrupt us and be like later, or don't, just leave. It's fine. We'll see you next time. Okay, so first play is
Whistler by Giancarlo Abrahan.
Yes.
Cool.
And how many characters do we have?
I think we at least have 3, 4. Sorry, I don't know if it lists the amount of characters. We have woman, man 1, man 2, boy. So I think we have 4 characters.
Cool.
And plus stage directions.
And that's great. So then I guess, how did we do this in studio, Michelle? Did we just like start and then people joined in?
I think we just started and we asked people to just pick up a character and like kind of stay on it instead of like assigning things. And sometimes we ended up reading multiple characters, and presumably we're all, if you can follow along, it won't confuse you, but sometimes there's not enough people to read. So.
Right. So then I think let's try that and see how it feels in an online setting. I'll start reading the stage directions, and then whoever feels they want to jump in on the first character, let's see how it goes.
And if I remember correctly, last time we also joined in irrespective of the gender of the character. We just kind of jumped in on whichever character we felt inspired to.
Definitely. So yeah, if we if we speak over each other a little bit, we'll just go through that awkwardness and we'll settle into our flow, but let's see how it goes. Okay, everybody good to go? Yeah. Okay. Replacement is at the heart of our hopeful reimagination of a sustainable and equitable future. Our dream is greener because we have seen the numbers, the disturbing environmental cost. However, replacement, oh, bye. It was so nice to meet you. We'll send the recording to you. Okay. Our dream is greener because we have seen the numbers, the disturbing environmental cost. However, replacement inevitably means displacement, which comes with a lot of misunderstanding and a very human cost. On a rooftop at the edge of a city, on its edge, 3 chairs are whistling. 3 in a row in different pitches, almost mechanical. They summon a cool wind that blows. The chairs keep whistling mechanically, followed by the sound of a cool wind, unless stated otherwise. A boy enters, sits on one of the chairs, closes his eyes, whistles too, his own song. The wind sings back whenever the boy whistles his song. The first time, the wind carries with it 2 men who take a seat on the other chairs. They join the boy and the chairs in whistling. Suddenly, we are on a mountain, and the boy takes a step toward the audience.
On our island, all men were brothers of a sister of one of my mother's friends. We were all related. If not family, at least familiar. I learned from them this secret song that summons the wind to come to our island.
The men demonstrate how to whistle, purse lips, wiggle out tongue, press tip against teeth, and then blow air out.
Now machines are able to do what even the restless tongues of island men couldn't. Call the wind without taking a breath.
The men and the boy stop whistling, and then they narrate their history around the stage with their chairs that keep whistling.
The real trade, though, was squeezing milk out of our mountains like they were breasts. Calcium was very important then. It might still be today, depending on which doctors you ask. Except the world developed lactose intolerance, so we had to look for calcium elsewhere and forget certain flowers. Heads had to learn to wear new hats. Harms had to acclimatize to sleeves.
The mechanical whistling finally stops. Cool wind stops blowing. A siren wails. In new positions on the stage, the men and the boy sit on their chairs.
Anyway, our mountains had been flat-chested for a while, and so we were given...
A woman enters and gives envelopes to the men and the boy.
A Green New Deal.
The men and the boy open the envelopes. On sheets of paper, transcriptions of their misinterpretation.
A gray nude eel.
A green you'd hell.
Agree, no deal.
No. Green.
Green.
New
New.
Deal.
Deal.
Green New Deal.
Green new
New
deal.
Green New Deal?
Yes, Green New Deal. We're running out of time.
The siren wails faster and louder. Again, transcriptions of the men's misinterpretations.
Green you'd heal.
Green new
Green
deal.
you'd hell.
Green new
angry
deal.
new deal.
Green new eel.
Both men shake the hands of the woman. The woman exits.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Good morning.
Well, hello there. Good morning.
The mechanical whistling returns. So does the cool wind. The men put their chairs in the original position and then exit.
I'm not so sure how much they understood. We were just doing the right thing. I'm not very good at leaving, you see. I never get to say goodbye. When I hear of the emergency, I just knew I had to move. But I'm not very good at dance, you know? And so I let my song and chants take me. When these men, who were brothers of a sister of one of my mother's friends, when they took the deal, they just took off, their direction, away from the island. And so did I.
The boy stands up and starts whistling on the edge of the stage. The wind starts singing again. Suddenly, we are back on a rooftop at the edge of a city. The woman enters again, stares at the view. The boy notices.
Good morning.
Oh, yeah. Morning.
The wind sings back. The woman takes a deep breath, smells something sweet.
You smell that? Oh, fresh air.
You mean sweat air?
I did mean fresh.
But the sweat air, that's me. Not just fresh, that's me.
Well, you neither look sweaty nor smell sour to me.
No. I meant sweet air. That's me.
Sweet and fresh. I didn't know there was a difference.
The boy stops whistling. The mechanical whistling carries on. The boy watches the cold wind passing by.
There. That's plain fresh air. We worked so hard for that.
I see. Well, not really see, but I can feel it in my lungs.
But sweat, you can actually hear it too. Listen.
The wind sings back. The woman hears. The boy gestures for the woman to breathe. The boy and the man breathe deeply. The boy licks his lips. The woman hers.
Ah, sweet air.
And if you're lucky, the wind sometimes brings not only a song, but also rain.
And does the rain taste any different?
Like sweat mangoes.
Oh, salty?
If it's rain called by my song, it's going to be the sweatest.
Well, I've tried dry mangoes and really loved them.
But dried mangoes aren't mangoes.
Well, what are they then?
Exports.
Against artificial preservatives?
Preservatives. A man must be willing to wait under the sun for the wind to be ripe with rain before whistling his song. For a heart that longs for heat bears the wisdom of mangoes, while a tongue dipped long enough in fermented fish knows sweetness best.
You mean a long history of looking back?
But who can afford that anymore? We can't afford to be on our island. When a city is only as good as it smells, it cannot afford even the cheapest fermented fish to serve my memory. But you can't afford us being in our mountains. Mountains are still being squeezed for poisonous milk, though. These days, my people only call on the winds for the pleasures of mangoes on our tongue, because the city can only take what is sweet.
That's funny. Not what you said. Funny. What is that? It can't be the river.
No, it only means that soon it's going to rain.
Really? That smell means it's going to rain?
It has actually, but not yet here.
Whistle again then.
Why don't you just learn?
Boy demonstrates to the woman how to whistle, purses lips, wiggles out tongue, presses the tip against his teeth, and then blows air out. The woman tries but fails and keeps on trying until she finally can whistle. The boy and the man whistle as if in a trance. The wind sings back at them until rain falls on their foreheads. They taste the raindrops.
Sweet sweat.
Sweat, sweet.
Boy purses his lips as if to kiss. A siren wails. The trance is broken.
Sweet sweat. Sorry, emergency. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you save the rain for me next time?
The woman rushes to exit. The sound of whistling in threes in different pitches, mechanical, and then a cold wind blows. Boy purses his lips as if to whistle, sighs instead. It does not rain. Giancarlo Abrahan is from the island of Bohol in the Philippines and based in Metro Manila, where he works as a writer, translator, director, and producer. Currently, he is a lecturer at the University of Philippines Film Institute, managing director of Bilang Cebu, a theater group in the Ateneo de Manila, and a workshop director of Liningan sa Hamana Retorica. Whoa, I'm so sorry, everybody. At Año Lira, an organization of poets writing in the Filipino language. Thank you for reading, everyone.
We had just enough.
Yeah, really. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Very playful piece.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm fascinated by the image of these whistling chairs too.
I know. Well, and when we got to the end and it said that he was from the Philippines, I wonder if that's a cultural thing there. I don't know much about Philippines culture, except the food, which is delicious.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it's interesting.
I paused to write down the phrase, the wisdom of mangoes, because I just like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, and like this whistling sound from the chairs, it's mechanical, as different from the vocal whistles that the characters make, I think, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting.
I just started thinking of like rattan, like chairs that are made of more hollow-ish kind of reed family related stuff, and some way to emphasize like a potential openings, like a flute in through some of the structure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a similar, like, wouldn't it be cool to make the chairs just be instruments with like some sort of wind machine?
Yeah, like because they're kind of characters in themselves. Like as far as I understand, they're not actually sat on; they're perched. So they could be like wind chime chairs, of some kind. That would be cool if they were like flutes. I think because of the them being described as mechanical, I was imagining like metal or like office chairs or something, or like I don't know, something rusty or something that feels really unnatural. but I think that there's so much to play with there.
There's also like the association with like sweat and rain, where they could be pipes like with steam being shot through them.
Mhm.
You know, so like maybe there's some sort of like moisture in the air, and it's actually like forced like water pressure or like mist through the pipes.
Right. So like a kettle whistle or type thing.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
that would be really neat.
Yeah, there's something kind of like sort of simply beautiful about like this boy trying to teach the woman about just listening to and like experiencing nature, and like the like little knowledge that you can anticipate the rain if you like just like pay attention to the smells. And then she says, "Can you save some rain for me?" It's like, well, he's not magically controlling it. He's just paying attention.
Right. It makes me think like the whole character of the woman sort of feels like, government policy coming in, especially like to indigenous communities, of like, here is this new deal that we have figured out for you. Wait, what's rain? Hang on. That's the vibe I got. I don't know if it was intentional.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually get like the sense that there's like the men are like this old order, and the woman is this new order who's like really trying to fix things, but she's also just like missing, like it's like she's moving too fast. So it's like the men are moving too slow, the woman's moving too fast, and the little boy's just like, but wait, the mountains, the rain, like he's just like very grounded, and like, I don't know, I get this sense that like the men are like old and like super slow and like, I don't know, sort of caricatures, and the woman is also a character of the opposite extreme, like she's like probably like moving a mile a minute trying to fix everything. And then this little boy is like, I don't know, he's in touch with the environment in a way that like it can't be in a policy, can't be in a band-aid solution.
Maybe the two main characters have straw hats, canes, maybe. I don't know if they're like, is it, or they're like being represented as actually old in this way, or
That could be fun to like play up them being really old because of the like grand old dill, like they like it's like they're hard of hearing, like it just like
Yeah.
but they could also be not that old, but just in very absurd, like super absurd persona.
Yeah.
with more of an obvious clown affect.
Yeah. There's definitely like some comedic gems in the whole like not understanding the word Green New Deal. Like that sounds really fun to play up for sure.
I find it just to hop over to the end, I find it really interesting that the woman has to rush out for an emergency. Like the fact that they like a couple times have her like being in a rush. Like the first time it's like she says goodbye to the men, and she says, I really want to quote her. She says, Green New Deal, we're running out of time. And then at the end she goes, sweet sweat, sorry, emergency, good morning. And good morning seems to be their way of saying goodbye, which is like, I don't even know what that means, but
I took it as like the way people say good day to say goodbye.
Like good morning, morning. Yeah.
Good morning, I'm leaving.
Right.
Very Victorian almost.
Also, like maybe this is like a world where the sun doesn't set, like it's hot. It's like always hot and the sun is always there. And that's why this bit about the rain is so important, and why they're saying like sweat. Like,
yeah. So creepily, like I had the image of like a dried up, like doing this. The image that came to mind for me was like an empty swimming pool with the chairs like perched on the edge of it, like maybe only the back legs are actually on the like upper ground, and the chairs are sort of floating off the edge. And I don't even know what that came from, but like that kind of, if you match the idea together of like a hazy, like permanent sun, like, and they actually really need rain, and like that's maybe why the boy's paying so much attention to the weather. Like that could be one way to think about it.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Like it's a like drought metaphor imagery or whatever.
Amazing.
I mean, I don't know enough about the climate in Philippines. I know they have like a rainy season, but I don't know how that's been affected by climate change exactly.
Yeah, I love
I
that.
don't know.
Well, do we want to keep chatting about this one, or do we want to read another one?
I think someone's carrying a bucket. I think
Nice.
one of these clown characters is like carrying around a little bucket to catch some rain in case it comes.
I like that.
Yeah, there could be like some kind of suitcase bucket thing, like businessmen with buckets instead of like briefcases.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
because they do, like, in terms of the props, in addition to the chairs, there are these like transcriptions. So like there's, I guess, like some sort of like manuscript to show all of their transgressions. So it could be like they could be carrying them around in buckets as well.
Yep.
I think. What does she say? Sheets of paper, transcriptions of their misinterpretations. There's like envelopes and paper. Lots of it. Which, oh my gosh, if there was like some sort of wind machine playing these chairs, like having those papers just like blowing around would be awesome. Like you could have another like routine where like someone opens an envelope or briefcase and they just like fly everywhere because of the wind.
So what if the woman is on a or it could be somebody else on a stationary cycle that, and the pedaling is like prompting some wind.
I love that idea because it goes with this idea of her just being so busy all the
She's
time.
like,
That's such
great.
a cool idea. And like that wind, like the wind, this bike machine could be powering our steam whistle chairs. Like it could be really like, oh, that would be fun. And then the sweat line is also has a whole new connotation. And like there could also be like now this interplay of this like sweating, like I'm just imagining this like young woman who's just like in a frenzy, like spiking the whole time. There could be an interplay between the boy and like waiting for rain and her sweat. Like there could be no rain. It could literally just be like her sweat and the steamy pipe. And just like there could be like this really sad, like him collecting some of her sweat in your bucket that the old man leave behind.
Ew.
Like into the bucket. Oh God.
I don't know. This sounds like a good clown show. I'm feeling it. Nice. Well, I think we should leave it there because that is a lot of food for thought for anybody that wants to run with this play.
Yeah, there's like a few design seeds
There's
there.
a few design seeds here. Please, everybody, take note. Run wild. Even if you're not here and you're listening to the recording, it's a free game. Let's read another one.
Yes. The Deal.
Deal. Michelle,
Right,
do you want to do stage directions this time?
Yes.
Nice.
Cool. The Deal by Javad Alipoor. Hope I'm pronouncing that close. The inspiration for the short play is Robert Vitale's book, America's Kingdom, and the conversations about race and post-colonialism kicked off by the international repercussions of the Black Lives Matter movement. This is a play for one actor and an audience. The idea is to build the images in the audience's mind and then let them go. As far as sound design goes, you definitely don't have to stick to the music that is explicitly named in the text. In fact, you probably shouldn't. The description of the music in the text should contrast with sound, if any is used. Okay, and I think the whole thing is sort of monologue. I'm happy to read it though.
Go for it.
This is a story about a deal. It's the deal at the heart of the oil industry. It's the deal that used to go like this. Western colonial oil concession, profits in New York, London, or Amsterdam, a cut for a local warlord, guaranteed production, Iraq, Nigeria, Mexico, pliant population, utter destruction of forests and seas. It has a few changes now. Centers of accumulation shift, sovereign wealth funds are established, but the principles remain. It could be a fictional story, a play or a film, music and lights. It's got everything, backstabbing, politics, love interests, but it's not. You know how it ends, because it ends with the world like it actually is. This is the story of a little known but real man called Abdullah Tariqi. He was, for a few years, the Saudi Minister of Oil. He helped to found OPEC. He died a rich old man in Lebanon. But in the early 1960s, he was something else. He was a rebel intent on breaking American imperial power in the Middle East, democratizing Saudi Arabia and giving the wealth of that region to its people. See what I mean about knowing how the story would end? That's obviously not the ending that we got. He loses and goes to Lebanon and makes his money. If we're going to tell it like a real story, you need to do two things. Imagine you don't know the ending. And imagine that the story I'm telling you isn't just literally true, but something that we can rewrite and re-edit. Imagine the first scene being 1938, the Arabian desert, like retro quality Path newsreel, black and white. A man with a very polished mid-Atlantic accent talks over something that sounds like the theme tune from Lawrence of Arabia. This is Daran, a desert city built by American ingenuity and Arab hospitality. The camera picks out two happy-looking Arab men. A simple people, a voiceover says, a way of life unchanged for thousands of years. And then, kicking through the cliched Orientalist strings, the open riff from Sid Vicious's My Way. Hard cut from the archive. A camera swoops through the desert and through Daran. From the manicured lawns of the whites only quarter, it accelerates through tennis courts, whites only drinking fountains, out into the cardboard city of the colored quarter. It lands on an extreme close-up of a young boy's iris. It's Abdullah Tariqi's 12-year-old eye. We see reflected the whole oil camp, its racial stratification, its burning towers, its American flags, its Saudi secret policemen. Second scene, Texas, 1950. Eddie Cochran's Come On Everybody plays over a crackling car radio. The 22-year-old Tariqi rubs his sweaty palms together. It's not the Texas heat that's bringing the moisture up, but the two white men outside the cinema. His white date is in front of the cinema entrance arguing with two white men, telling them he isn't a Mexican or anything else. He's an Arab, which means he's a Caucasian, apparently. Not a word he has heard before. In any case, the argument is short. Arab, Mexican, or anything else, he's not getting in the cinema. As he drives her home, he tells her about Daran, about his dreams. Ask her if she wants to see it with him one day. Third scene, 1955. Aramco colored camp, Daran. A large tent-like structure, 6 Arab workers watching their first film. A white man at the back, keeping a precise eye. On the primitive projector, John Wayne swaggers through an artificial Texas desert that looks as plastic as a shop window selling outdoor wear. Wayne pulls out a shotgun, shoots dead 3 Comanche who, to the white man, look awfully like the Arabs watching the film. The Arab workers cheer Wayne. The white man breathes a sigh of relief. He gives a message to an Arab boy to take to the office. Don't worry, it says. They think they are the cowboys. Fourth scene, 1962, Riyadh. An Egyptian violin line sweeps down and the crisp Darabuka rhythm of Kulthum's Alf Layla wa Layla starts up. A camera follows a Mercedes at street level, through dust streets full of Arab men and women in traditional clothes. It stops. From the back door, 2 well-dressed American men exit and walk onto the street. The first checks the address. The Aramco executive offers the man from the State Department a cigarette. They smoke. Tariki, now oil minister, sits in his office, 2nd floor. A fan spins slowly overhead, dragging a slow rhythm. The radio is reporting news from the palace, the fall of Tariqi's allies, coded, of course, but he knows what it means. His junior minister turns to him. Escape plans are ready. The Americans enter. Mr. Tariqi, says the man from the State Department, I hope we can find a way out of this regrettable misunderstanding. I don't think you misunderstand me at all, answers Tariqi. The State Department man is polite but firm. Unfortunate circumstances, historically close ties. This is America he is dealing with, not the British Empire. But he must understand, Arabs are not ready for technical jobs. The books cannot be opened to the oil ministry, and besides, the new king himself has just been on the radio laying out how the talk of unmanaged democracy is a communist plot. The conversation is long and convoluted, of the kind made by diplomats or gangsters. People who know lives and fortunes turn on the use of a word. Mr. Tariqi, we and the US government are determined to help the people of Saudi Arabia reach a modern stage of development. But the facts are clear. 40 years ago, the first king of this country drew up a contract with us. A deal is a deal. For the first time, in front of these men and his, Tariqi loses his temper. We are the sons of those Indians who sold you Manhattan, and we will renegotiate our deal. You know how it ends. A montage. The shimmering open riff of the Rolling Stones' Gimme Shelter. Palace coup. Repentant princes bending the knee to a new king. Aramco executive giving lists of names to Saudi Arabian secret policemen. Desert thugs arriving outside the shacks of trade union organizers in the colored camps. Then OPEC. Deserts made to bloom with sovereign wealth funds. Wherever oil is produced, the integration of thousands riyads into the global market. Dictatorship, some discrepant monarchies, some Republican generals making coup d'etat. Gangster economies where closeness to power is capital. Greater and greater consumption, an oil-producing city in the global south. It could be Baku in the Caucasus, Patakwa in Nigeria, Basra in Iraq. In the eyes of a young girl, you see reflected a city, a country, and a world. Abject poverty and ruthless violence in support of the destruction of the world. Jagger's banshee voice sings the first line. It's time for a new deal. And a play. Javad Alipoor is a multi-award-winning playwright, director, filmmaker, and performer. The Believers Are But Brothers from 2017 opened in Edinburgh, where it won a Fringe First Award before transferring to London's Bush Theatre and on to an international tour. Javad adapted the play for the BBC in 2018. The play's sequel, Rich Kids, A History of Shopping Malls in Tehran, premiered at the Traverse Theatre. Its London transfer and subsequent national tour was postponed by COVID-19. A new digital version was created online for audiences. This version went on to tour online, including at the Public Theater's Under the Radar Festival, and was selected for the Sundance Film Festival. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. As I was listening, I was thinking that it almost, because of the like one actor narrating setup, be cool to see it done as a radio play with like Foley artists doing the background atmosphere.
Mhm.
Totally. Do you mean
Just
like
trying
a staged radio play?
Yeah, either that or like either as a staged radio play, or I could see it being done like almost like a podcast setup.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
It's really sort of the most essential like storytelling about theater. It's just one person telling a story.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, I saw like a few things. I saw one person on stage operating like an old school projector with
Mm.
like every time it said like a new scene, they would put like a new slide in. And then I wasn't sure, like my instinct was like, oh, it's actually like just a that's just an action, that's just a prop. And then once that slide goes on and you have your still, then a video design takes over the still and you actually get like a short film. So the old school projector is just a prop. But then there's like another world, especially when they spoke about cardboard cities, where it could be like shadow puppetry on top of these like projected stills.
Mm.
So I'm just like seeing like a really intimate one person show with like old school like photography and film technology, maybe puppetry. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you can definitely draw a lot on like the mid 20th century period that it takes place in. Like 1938 is the first one, and the last one is 1962. And I think the projector fits into that. I think the radio fits in it, like just really being inspired by that very analog way of doing things.
Yeah.
And when I pictured it, I pictured the projector for like that first part, but I almost like pictured that he was talking and then there was like a crew behind him trying to make it into a movie. So we don't see like the finished movie, but we see like the cameraman coming in and then like the sound people and all of this trying to turn this story into a movie, and then you see it like through the time, so like black and white, and the next one is in colored and like so on and so forth.
I like that too. Yeah, there's definitely some really interesting exchanges between like storytelling mediums that I think would be fun to play with, like whether it's radio, whether it's film. Yeah, it's just like these little portals. Yeah.
It's hard for me to like fully be in the story because I was reading it, and I think it would be really different to hear it. But like everything you guys are saying makes like a lot of sense, and like definitely the images that came to mind were all like film related, and the fact that they actually talk about a film screening and gangster movies and stuff like that, it's like, yeah, very cool.
There's also like something about the ideas to build the images in the audience's mind and then let them go. And this like image that keeps coming up of like worlds being projected on an eye. Like, I don't know how you could like turn this experience so that like the audience actually feels like they're in a projection or in a film, or like, I don't know, there's something about like turning the lens of the camera onto the audience through theater that like, I don't actually know what I'm talking about, but I think like there's something in the script that's like kind of provoking, almost like a fourth wall breaking through cinematography and through the experience of the lens being like turned. I don't know. There's something there.
I mean, like what you just said, Alex, like maybe my very literal interpretation would be like, maybe it's like, instead of just sitting in an audience, like maybe the audience, it's like a small audience, or like they're split up, or maybe it's an individual person who experiences this, and maybe they are like captured on video from really specific angles to like seem like they're in the situation. So it's like, say we have this projector, but then we also have like our storyteller and like maybe the audience member like in the foreground in such a way that it's like filmic framing. So like I'm imagining something wildly complicated where we have like a film crew like surrounding an audience member and somehow like putting them in the like story like in
Yeah.
real time. So it's like, yes, you're actually in this story and they could like see themselves as a part of whatever the next projection is. Maybe it's just about like capturing their image like discreetly or like not even discreetly, like explicitly as a part of their audience experience. Like, I don't know, like maybe the audience is like the audience watching the like John Wayne movie, or like somehow that's like their image is incorporated into like the storytelling image.
Yeah, I think this is like what I mean. Like, it's not really like shadow puppets. It's like the silhouettes of the people in the audience actually become characters in like these short films. Like, it's like they're like, it's kind of just jamming off of Andrew's idea. And then Michelle, what you just said, it's like you're a player in the films that are being talked about by the actor who's in the room with you, telling you what's happening. Like, because there's something about the tense of this writing that it's like he's a director of a play or of a film that's describing past historical events or also like cult film moments. So there's a play with time and like, I don't know, there's something really interesting about like creating these short films through a theatrical experience that you watch while you're part of it. I don't know. I don't know how we would do it.
I don't know either. Like there's so many ways you could do this, I think, but because like they say create it in their mind and we're like, well, create it like for real.
Yeah.
Like that's our response. But like in a way the writing is like so descriptive that you can see it in their mind, that it's like, what visual aid do you even need them to just like make them take the leap? But like I am also seeing a version where like we light the actors with this like, you know, shaded like slat lighting, and it's like very gangster play, and we just like see them from like a spooky angle, and they kind of see themselves in this like gangster or / political drama. Yeah.
There's also a world where it's like each scene is in a different room and the audience moves.
Yeah, and it's like the actor takes you on a journey through like a bunch of vignettes, like a physical journey.
And they're like really detailed, like capsules. Like you walk in and you're like, I'm literally in a Western salon. Like, what the heck? And like what's actually happening in the room you're in with these other actors is just background to the story that this tour guide is giving you. So you're like kind of like split focus on like the atmosphere and the aesthetic that you're in and like how it relates to the story. Because I feel like that tension is in the writing too. So like in the last scene when it's Rolling Stones, you could literally just be like, we could really play with where you're taken versus what you hear. So like maybe you just go into like a grunge bar and that song is playing on a jukebox and there's a TV playing The Coup. Like, you know, like the atmosphere could be slightly in tension with what's being said to sort of illuminate the things we don't know. The fact that like we were told one version of the story and maybe that's what we see in the scene and he's telling you the truth and you're dealing with the conflict of like.
Yeah, I think that's like such a big provocation and like of like conflicting imagery or mood or atmosphere with the story as well. Like that could be done in like literal ways or like less literal ways. Like Kristen, I keep thinking about your idea of like, what if we did like a radio play, a stage radio play, but like, what are the objects that make the sounds? Like, is it just about creating the most realistic sound, or maybe like the objects are curated to like be like somewhat related, but also like in tension with the story? Like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking like oil drums, or like, what are these objects? You can make like a story landscape that's not this or that maybe is related to, but like, I don't know, whatever. It would be interesting to go through and like figure out the sounds and then like pick an object that has like more like metaphorical or symbolic significance to like create the sounds.
I
as
love
opposed
that.
to just, like environmental. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, and I was thinking about that in terms of the I can't remember what it's called when you walk through different spaces. There's a term for that kind of theater, but the walkthrough
Promenade.
version. Yes, I think maybe that's it.
That's what I say. I say walkabout or promenade theater.
It's walkabout if it's casual, it's promenade if it's fancy.
Exactly.
So yeah, I was thinking in that version of things, like also what if it looked like the space described in the story, but when you looked more closely, you realized it was all built out of like oil drums or whatever, like objects of significance, like those old the I Spy books where like you'd look at it first glance and it looks like one thing, but then you look closer.
Mm-hmm. I think this reminds me so much of Danielle Worley's stuff because she creates these like really textured set designs with all of these strange objects, but like how to curate those objects is like such an interesting choice. But like I love that idea of like using raw materials like as sculpting materials, so creating one image and then creating like a more detailed like material engagement upon second or upon closer glance.
Yeah, I love that.
It's
one of my favorite things about this kind of theater, though, about like upcycling in theater as having those dual meanings.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much more interesting than making something out of what it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh. Should we move on? I mean, this was really cool. Like lots to think about.
I'm just like rereading the script now, so I'm like kind of obsessed with this one because I also like I don't really know what the playwright's talking about, so like I feel like this would take a lot of research for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like we
really,
don't all know who this person is.
No, but there's like so many clever associations in here, like that I think could be mined in so many interesting ways. So yeah, good play. Somebody pick it up. It's not going to be for sale forever. Great. Yeah, let's read another one.
Apology. Is that what we're doing next?
Mm.
Looks like we have two characters, bold and not bold.
And then maybe a person who reads the intro and the description of the playwright. So we could have 3 people in this one. Michelle, you take a break. I'll read the description and the end.
Okay.
Apology, My, by Keith Barker. This play came out of exchanges I've had with my uncle over the years. He is oh no, what's that word? Fervent? What does that mean?
Adamant.
Okay. He's a fervent climate change denier who believes it is a hoax drummed up by lefty pinkos. Oh no. This play is me writing out my disillusion by imagining a revelation about the climate crisis through the eyes of a prime minister who finds himself on the wrong side of history.
I'm sorry, I truly am.
You can't say that.
Why not?
You're making it personal. Don't do that.
It's an apology.
You need to think bigger picture here.
Fine, on behalf of the country.
The country, the people, whatever you want to call them, are not the ones who are sorry. The government is.
On behalf of the party.
Whoa. It's not just one party's fault. It's every party's fault. Got it?
Prime Minister sighs.
Mr. Speaker, I stand before you today to offer an official apology.
There you go.
The denial of climate change is a sad and regrettable chapter in our history.
I like chapters. That was a sad chapter. This is a new chapter.
In the last 150 years, populations were introduced to widespread electrification, internal combustion engines, the car, and the airplane.
Sweet. Keep it in the past. Stay away from the future.
This massive shift to fossil fuels exponentially increased material prosperity and measures of well-being, but we were wrong.
We're never wrong.
It was a mistake.
Mistakes are just as bad as being wrong. Neither will get you votes.
It was regrettable.
Better.
We are past the tipping point of climate change. Now we must deal with the full consequences of government failure.
Whoa, way too negative.
Now we must deal with the consequences of inaction and a multi-generational culture of denial to maintain the status quo.
Cut the last part.
I think we need it.
And I think we don't. Keep going.
Unprecedented warming cycles have melted the ice caps, causing the mass extinction of species. The acidification of the oceans has destroyed the majority of marine and mammal food chains. The occurrence of extreme weather events has vastly increased as sea levels continue to rise.
You can't say all that.
People already know this
Then why are we saying it again?
because it's true.
Truth is overrated.
Then why am I even giving this speech?
Because politically, it's a smart move if we do it right. It also makes you look like a prime minister.
I am the prime minister.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
I don't think I do.
Listen, don't focus on the small stuff. You just need to ignore your instincts. Whatever feels right is wrong. You won't win this if you repeat mistakes.
Don't put this all on me.
Says the guy who stood up to the House of Commons and denied the existence of climate change on the same day scientists announced that the Arctic Circle was ice-free.
They did that on purpose to make me look bad.
What, melt the Arctic Circle?
You know what I mean.
I don't think I do.
You really think you can fix this?
What do you think?
You always answer a question with a question.
Only the dumb ones.
Right. Where were we?
Somewhere between mass extinction and extreme weather conditions.
Today we recognize the denial of climate change was wrong.
Not wrong, but
Regrettable.
beauty.
I've already said regrettable.
Yeah, and you're going to say it 100 more times, so get used to it.
The fossil fuel industry actively misled the public and is largely to blame for the inaction on climate change, with capitalism being the driving force.
Don't say the C word.
Why not?
You can't be seen placing blame on industry.
Just over 100 companies are responsible for 71% of all of the global greenhouse gas emissions.
That's debatable.
Not if we're using science, it's not.
Wow, and where was this guy a few years ago?
I'm trying to make up for my past mistakes.
And that, my friend, is how you kill your political career.
I need to say this.
No, you don't. You're talking to the base, card-carrying members. They voted for you because of your ideology. You can't just bait and switch these folks. Do that and you can kiss the election goodbye.
You're right. Thank you for that.
For what?
It didn't really hit me until you said my words back to me.
What'd I say? I'm sorry, I've said a lot.
Mass extinction.
Oh, come on. I'm just trying to get you reelected here.
This isn't about politics anymore.
Everything is about politics.
Sorry, but I need to do this.
Let me do my job here. I'm a fixer. It's what I'm paid to do. Fix things. And if you want this fixed, Mr. Prime Minister, then you need to start listening to me pronto. Do not apologize. Those altruistic feelings are fleeting. Trust me. You think you found some clarity, but you haven't. And when those feelings pass, and they will pass, you will regret having made a decision in a moment of weakness. Do you understand me?
Perfectly. I think you need to go.
You're making a big mistake.
Maybe, maybe not.
Let me help you.
No, I think you've helped enough. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a speech to write.
Last chance. Really? Fine, it's your funeral. You know what? I wasn't going to vote for you anyways.
Aw, you broke your own rule.
And what is that?
Don't make it personal.
End. Keith Parker is a member of the Métis Nation of Ontario. He is a playwright, actor, and director from Northwestern Ontario and the current artistic director at Native Earth Performing Arts. He is the winner of the Dora Mavermore Award and the Playwrights Guild Carol Bolt Award for the Best New Play. He received the Saskatchewan and Area Theatre Award for Excellence in Playwriting for his play, The Hours That Remain, as well as a Yukon Arts Award for Best Art for Social Change.
I think he was one of the people at Tanya's session last week, yes?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. I was like, that bio sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm. This is interesting.
Thank you for giving me a chance to be sassy.
So sassy.
It was great.
Got out some of the energy I needed to get out today.
I think I like didn't quite realize what your role was, Kristen, like until like, I don't know, like a page in. I was like, I kind of was expecting like a different dynamic.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I had not read ahead. I was just like seeing where it took me.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't sure until the second page, which one of us was the prime minister and which one was the other one. Like that took a few lines before I figured out which one that was going.
Yeah, this one is like, it was like kind of like not a little bit upsetting, like because it's like it's this like fantasy of like the politician like actually being like screw politics, like this is an emergency, and
we
like
have someone joining us, so we'll say hi.
Awesome.
Hello. Wow, my echo is epic, guys.
You do have a lot of echo.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Alex from Triga. I've been emailing you.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Michelle. I've also been emailing you from Triga.
Are we gonna go around again? I'm Kristen.
sure.
Hi, I'm not from
Brief
Triga.
intros. Yeah.
I'm Andrew.
Hello, I'm Ksenia.
Hi, Ksenia. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so
Oh, of
glad you
course.
could make
Me
it.
too.
We just read 2 plays. We're actually on our 3rd play this evening. And if you want to take a peek at it,
Yes, thank you.
it's on the drive. It's called Apology My by Keith Barker.
Oh, okay, I will
Parker.
find it.
And we are just discussing it, so feel free to read it over while we chat and like join us, and then you can hop on the next one that we read together.
Okay, great, thank you.
And
I'll
I'll
just
also once we
listen.
finish discussing this one, I'll take a moment to just talk about the C concept, because I knew that was something you were really interested in.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, this whole like, wouldn't it be great to have a prime minister who made a stand and like stood up?
Yeah, but it's also in like a future where there's no ice caps anymore, and it's far too late, and that is what it's going to take to have a politician say this actually isn't about politics.
Yeah.
So I was like sad in a way, because it's like it was like I was getting like emotionally worked up because I want to like be like, yes, this is like the fucking fantasy, not like of the horrible future, but like of the present, for like a leader with influence to like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's something, I think you really hit a note there for me, which is the anticlimactic nature of this play, in that like it feels too late, and the further the play goes on, the more I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like now you're gonna make a stand, and like what are you gonna do about it? Like, it's maybe this is just an indication of my lack of trust of government bodies right now, but it's like, is it literally going to be your only option before you make the choice? Like, it sounds to me like this person is like, there's literally no other option other than for me to like finally say that it's real.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it. Like it's. Yeah, like it's not like they're not saying climate change is real. They're saying we have passed the tipping point. They're not saying we're almost at the tipping point. We have 7 years left before the tipping point thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is like, yeah, very conflicting, because like I kind of want to like, I like my instinct was to cheer on this character, at least in my head. And then I was just like, oh, it's just so horrible. And then when he said something about, sorry, go on.
No. I just had an image.
It wasn't an image. I just like wrote down the line, like the multi-generational culture of denial to maintain the status quo. And I'm like, this is like, what activists have been saying, but like hearing a politician say multi-generational culture of denial would be like quite profound.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, Alex.
I just have this image and I don't know how you would make it work, but just like, hear me out. So what if these two are meeting like on a boardroom table that's like on a pile of paper that looks sort of like a glacier, or like, it doesn't have to be paper, but it's like, I don't know why. Okay, it's a paper in my imagination. When we do the real show, we'll figure out what it is. But essentially, it's like a mound of paper that looks like a glacier. And it's like the pages and pages of like the chapters of history, the speeches, the like, whatever.
The studies.
Like, the studies, like it's like, it could be a symbol for so many things. And then they're like up there. And then this, what is it? The speaker? Is that Mr. Speaker? So like
it's the fixer. It's the prime minister and the fixer.
Okay. So the fixer is up there with the prime minister. And then when the prime minister is like, go, like leave, I don't need your help. The like fixer goes to leave and something happens so that this whole avalanche like melts or like falls, to like show that like the moment that this prime minister is like finally going to take a stand, it's like too late. Like this big glacier, this big thing, this pile of paper is just like, it's like an avalanche. It like falls. It like, I don't know. Like he takes a stand, but there's no ground to stand on, kind of image.
I like that metaphor.
This is like what I have in my head, and for some reason it needs to be paper and it needs to be a glacier, but it doesn't actually need to be. It just needs to be like a ground that is like built up by all his bullshit. And then finally he's like, that's it. I can't lie anymore. It just like,
I think like I love this impulse that you have. I think similar vein, I could see this play done like the play starts and they're in like a body of water that's up to their necks, and like it's like up to here and up to here, like by the end of the play, and they're like just like still having this argument, and they're like literally almost drowning underwater, but like now's the time.
Yeah, and first go ahead.
No, I was just like, then the fixer pulls the plug or like opens the door and like all the water like rushes out and the prime minister just like falls out of the like cube. I don't
know. At first I was thinking about it in a very literal way. Like I was having trouble picturing anything besides like the West Wing version of this. And now I would really love to see it done as like a piece of guerrilla theater, like just in a crowded, I don't know, like maybe a mall, but like a crowded train station or something where these two people are walking through and like all of a sudden they're yelling at each other about this. I think that would be I don't know, this feels like a piece that's good for that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love that. It's like a public moment where people are like, they're clearly fighting, and then everybody watches.
Right. And then you have to like really reckon with it, with like your own feelings on it. Because I feel like, you know, the people who come to see climate change theater aren't the people who need to see climate change theater.
I like that too, because like there's nothing in this play that is specific to a Canadian context per se. And I'm sure you could get the playwright's permission to, wherever you do this site specifically in the world, just alter a few words so that it seems like appropriate to the context.
Right. Governor, minister,
exactly,
mayor,
president.
Like it could be sort of any elected official.
Yeah. I kind of love that. I think that that's really, and you could just like have them dressed as like government workers, like walking through a station, like they're on their way to a meeting or something, or.
Yeah, I could. So I lived in DC for a while, and I could definitely picture it at like the, I can't remember what the name of the stop was, but the one that's like right on the National Mall. I could see this happening in that station because it's huge. It's like one of those huge old stations.
I think we should do it in like every international airport.
Yes, an airport would be great.
I could see a version of this that was like a secret recording of a rehearsal where like it's all captured on a security camera, and it's like a genuine rehearsal for a public speech, and it's being viewed on like a large screen, like in a public space, like I don't know, maybe like advertisement screens in a public space. It's like as if some activist hooked up the real prime minister's like secret feed to this like public screen, and like it's like a private moment that's like being aired.
And you
Like-
could stage it so that you never saw the prime minister or the president or the counselor's face.
Or you
just saw the back of their head.
Right. So it's like they could do like a legit lookalike to be like the real leaders of the time or something.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Too.
It reminds me of the end of Monsters Inc. They set up a scene and sort of trick the guy who runs the company into like admitting his terrible plan on camera.
Yeah.
And he says something like, you know, I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die or something. And then they like reveal that they were recording him and he tries to backpedal.
Oh my God, I really want to do this. Like, I really want to do this in like Yonge and Dundas Square on the big cameras, like interrupt your commercial.
And get like a Trudeau lookalike to play one of the characters.
You know what? Trudeau might do it. He's an actor, so just
yeah. We should be like, we really want to cast you as the lead in this essential piece of theater funded by the Canada Council.
Nah, I don't think we go for it. Well,
and then we can secretly capture him turning down the role for personal reasons.
Oh my God, that would be even better. Okay, we actually have to like pitch this role to every leader, and then them saying no is actually the political video. There's so many layers to this political piece.
Ksenia, where are you calling in from?
Yeah, we should transition. So many good ideas. Tell us about you.
I'm in Winnipeg on Treaty 1. Yeah, and it's just decided to be fall again today. So
it was 80 here today.
Yeah, it was 32 degrees Celsius yesterday.
Wow. Sorry, I'm the lone American in the group.
The climate change is real over here. Yeah, but looking forward to being here.
Nice. Well, we just opened our first hour by talking about the idea of the seed concept and what people should expect. So I'm going to give you the spiel, and then any questions you can let me know, and then we'll read another play together. So essentially what we did in our last shred is that we did this, but in person in our studio. And we found that by reading the plays out loud and just like discussing them like we just did very quickly, very like spitballing ideas, throwing things out there, that we were able to actually get inspiration for most of our seed concepts just from discussing the plays together and reading them together. And we also really enjoyed like building off of each other's ideas. So there was just like an agreement in the room that like if you said something out loud that was just that first idea in your mind, someone in the room could run with it and it could turn into something that you could never really predict. And then that's part of the process too. So essentially, as of today, I have created a spreadsheet in the folder where you access the plays. It's spreadsheet number 2, and it's the sign-up sheet for seed concepts. So now moving forward, if there's a play that we read in these sessions or in any of the other sessions that we're tagging onto with other coordinators, that really excites you and inspires you, and there's something you want to build off of there, you can sign up beside the play as working on that seed concept. We can have more than one designer on any play, like there's no limit. At some point, we will want to discuss amongst ourselves and our other collaborators who are students at York University and 2 universities in Australia about making sure we have at least one seed concept for each play, but that will come a little bit later down the road. And yeah, essentially a seed concept can be anything that you want it to be. It's really just supposed to be an expression of that sort of instinct that you have as a designer. Last year we did sketch models, we did costume renderings, we did prototypes, we did material research. Like it could be a napkin sketch. That's all. Our expectations are there. Anything else you want to do is totally up to you and your time and your interest and all that. And we'll be talking more about how to document seed concepts a little bit later down the road for publication and for exhibition, which will be a whole new challenge since we're online this year, but we'll discuss that, no pressure there at this point. And something I didn't mention earlier, which I'm glad that you're here to make me say my little speech again, is that in our weekly from last week, we sent out some hashtags and some handles, which moving forward, if you're working on your own and you just want to share a sketch or you're like really into your process work, feel free to tag all those things. If you want to take a screenshot of you in a Zoom meeting and you want to post it, like please do. And yeah, so you're welcome to share your process as well through this. And so yeah, you can start now, you can wait a month, you can do it the night before the end of the festival. Like it's really up to you. And if you actually have no time at all during the festival, there's still a window of time to like keep working outside of like December 18th or whatever. So it's super low pressure, and the structure around this charrette is to support what's going on in your life and to give you inspiration and food for thought and a place to practice expanding on what is eco-scenography with other designers. So I hope that that is clear. And if you have any questions, let me know.
But that is great. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
I'm just peeking at the spreadsheet now. It does, oh no, maybe. Yeah, it's in view only mode. So just
Yes,
when
I was
folks
about
try
to bring that
sign
up as
yeah.
well. Yep.
Okay, thank you for
Um,
that. I'm going to change it right now.
I do love a good spreadsheet. So
Oh my
this
God,
makes sense.
second person tonight. We're in the right crowd. Okay, how do I do that? Anyone has like, how do I make it edit? Help me.
I can try to.
I can request edit access.
I'm going to change that anyone who has the link can be an editor.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you, Michelle.
that's how you can do it for everybody.
Okay, so the permissions are updated.
Okay.
So if you refresh, you should be able to edit.
Yeah, confirm
Now
that.
that I'm editing, I'm going to change the font because I can't help myself.
Girl,
I love a font. I'm having a little bit of a love affair with a font right now. So.
Yeah, can you all sort of, oh, you're editing. You're so cute. Okay, great. So that's that. We'll talk more as we go, but like nobody's late. The party just started and we got lots of time. And you've got 2 previous charrette participants in the room with you right now. So you're in good hands for like feedback and inspiration, and they're very generous spirits. So that's just essentially the goal, is that we are learning together, we're trying new things, and we'll get to practice and then publish and then exhibit, which is awesome.
Great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No problem. Okay, let's read another play. Oh, and the way we read so far has worked well. If we had more people, it might get more challenging, but essentially we just have one person read the stage directions, and then we just kind of like impulsively take on a character, whoever feels compelled, and then just read through that character, and it's worked so far. Which one's next? We're going alphabetically.
Affirmations by Elena Belyea.
Oh, yay. I went to school with her. And also the ones that are grayed out. Oh, Michelle, you just made you made it clear. The ones that are gray in the spreadsheet means we've read them already, or we will read them in another planned event. So that's what the gray means. Okay, let's read another play.
I am somewhat unclear on this one. What is text and what is background? I feel like everything prior to the asterisk is just background stuff. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's like kind of a poem. So why don't, Michelle, do you want to read the intro bit?
Yes, I'll read the intro and then someone else jump in. All right, Affirmations by Elena Belyea. In episode 170 of the podcast Reply All, one of the hosts, Alex Goldman, writes a song entitled The Wolf is at the Door about his feelings of frustration and powerlessness surrounding the climate crisis. In the following episode, his boss, Alex Bloomberg, comes on the show to lambaste Goldman's song, arguing it was irresponsible to use the show's enormous platform to spread the message that climate change is a lost cause. Alex Bloomberg: when you do things like that, you're actually hurting the thing that you actually want to help. ... To me, one of the biggest threats to actually getting to where we need to go as a world is the way we feel about it. I'm thinking about the benefits and disadvantages of writing something hopeful. Can hopeful art actually incite its viewers into action? Or does it pacify and promote the status quo? How do we create work that simultaneously engages honestly with the reality of our circumstances without audiences checking out, convinced it's useless to even try provoking change at an individual level? Inspired by Mark Ravenhill's Pool, No Water, this play is written without any stage directions or dialogue tags. I encourage anyone interested in performing it to allocate the text whoever they like to as many or as few actors as they wish. The following articles are referenced throughout: Our Phones and Gadgets Are Endangering the Planet by John Harris, and The Real Problem with Your Netflix Addiction, The Carbon Emissions by Arwa Madawi. Oh, that would be interesting to read. Cool.
Why don't we just go and like
When you say
pause-
go, do you mean read the articles?
No, we'll do that later. I'm gonna start reading and then I'm gonna stop when I want to, and someone else is gonna pick it up. And
Cool.
that's what we're gonna try for this.
Love it.
Oh my gosh, I don't know how to say the first word.
Aural.
Aural, auroral zone, spooky dream, glacial hankering. Alberta's Premier Jason Kenney.
Gleams like bratwurst on Fox News. I order flats of beer off the internet to press or lower down the Canada-US relationship in desperate times, depress the third largest oil reserves in the world.
According to author James Brittle, using a tablet or smartphone to wirelessly watch an hour or video a week uses roughly the same amount of electricity as 2 new domestic fridges.
Land. I'm trying to teach my dog to pee outside. Today's temperature, extreme cold, wind chill between -40 and -55. Frostbite can develop in minutes. He perceives being outdoors as a kind of punishment. In 2019, Netflix's global energy consumption was enough to power 40,000 American homes for a year.
Sea level, contain nudity to avoid mass extinction. Madagascar, Galapagos, marine turtles, baby seals, not a single one on track to meet their goals. The Halifax Treaties were a collection of 11 written documents produced between 1760 and 1761, which, amongst other agreements, provided Indigenous people the right to fish, to put someone or something on land from a boat. I'm relieved to have never ached.
To have never ached for a version of my life with children in it. The entire communication technology industry could account for up to 14% of carbon emissions by 2040. How are we not in the streets about clean drinking water? Aching.
Through the air, on the ground, resting, another surface, the right of peoples to define their agricultural systems. I make a donation, fret, inflict a blow on someone, see how the land lies. Scroll, the land of the living. I dream of your sink full of glass.
I dream of taking you to see an impressive mountain range. I dream of being outlived. I fantasize about us embracing mass inconvenience, dirt, resistance, patience, complications, tomatoes, ripe and too numerous to many to hold.
Wow, that was really beautiful.
I like that it sort of seems like it's just random words at first, but then definitely goes into something resembling a narrative.
Also just makes me feel really bad about watching Netflix.
One of the interesting things, is anyone here familiar with groundwater arts?
No.
Okay, familiarize yourself with them because they're awesome. It's a completely women run, over half Indigenous run organization doing theater. They're mostly East Coast of the US now, I think. But they had a whole series in the last 2 years on decolonizing theater on Zoom sessions. And they would do not only a land acknowledgement for where their bodies were, but also a land acknowledgement for where Zoom servers are. And they're the only people I've ever seen do that, is like acknowledge that like just because we're interacting virtually does not have an environmental impact.
Yeah.
And so that has really changed the way I think about doing things digitally. Like last year, I saw someone bragging about how they didn't use any paper for their renderings. They did them all on their tablets. Isn't it so green? I was kind of like, is it though?
Like, because
Yeah.
paper
And it just,
is a slightly more renewable resource, I suppose.
right. It's I mean, it's everything with climate and environmentalism. It's complicated.
Yeah.
I had a chat in the same vein with an AD for a installation piece I'm doing, and it's about climate change. And somehow I think we were also talking about COVID and, letting people back into the building and things. And she was talking about like, and fittings, or, maybe all our fittings will be on Zoom. And my first thought was like, just blah. But also, instead of flying people in from other places. And I was like, right, but I'm curious to know how much doing an entire production with your designer on Zoom carbon wise compares to flying them over. Not that either of them are are carbonless, but I've made me very curious.
Yeah, replacing everything with Zoom is not the
Not
quick
the
climate
answer.
fix that everyone thinks it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there was just so much about this that was just like something about the like mix up of images and the fact that it was this like poetic structure did really feel like our like constant information flow of like being constantly online and like dealing with a whole lot of really intense realities at once, and then trying to sort of take it in. And like, these articles that if you're me, you wake up and read them first thing in the morning, and they just like infuse your day. There was like a few lines that really just like hurt that I want to quote her when she said like, I'm relieved to have never ached for a version of my life with children in it. I'm like, oh, right. Because like, it's just like, to even like the cognitive dissonance of even wanting children with all this other information is pretty heavy.
Yeah, I feel like there's something really similar to texting in how this is written that like I think is interesting as a choice of like medium. Like I honestly feel like she's really like found the way that your brain works when you're doing 3 things at once with devices. Like she's found a way to like mirror how I feel when my attention is split in such a way. And I wonder if the design or the dramaturgy of the production could also like draw on that. Like, is the information coming from multiple sources in this play? And maybe that's not just actors on a stage. Maybe there's like, I guess like what I'm seeing in here is the invitation to actually embrace texting in theater. Like maybe the audience is texted information, like maybe those articles are like texted to you while you're in the play and you're like trying to read like, oh my God, what does Netflix do? while like you're trying to split your focus. I know this is dangerous, and a lot of people would like be like, what are you talking about? But like I am always looking for a piece to use the like fact that we don't text when we're in the theater to like be provocative. And I think this might be a good fit. Like challenging the audience to operate on their like multitasking mind, and like that to be part of the experience you want to provoke in the audience for them to think about and consider.
I mean, almost every line could have its own sort of news article attached to it.
Yeah. And is there like, are there parts, like, do we actually take this and like split it up and say like, this part's going to come to you through your phone while this other thing is happening on stage, and you have to try and reconcile those two things? And like, I don't know, like maybe there's something really powerful in that like these really touching, intimate things that this play also has in it are like actually fully happening in front of you, and you're like trying to like not split your focus.
I think it would be interesting, like when I was reading it, it was almost like sensory overload, you know? Like if you were sitting there, someone was texting, and then a Netflix screen pops up, and then someone has to pick what show to watch, and you're just all over the place, and as an audience member, just like, okay, what is my takeaway from all of this?
Well, it would almost sort of trigger climate anxiety, like emotions in somebody, to like constantly be thrown, you know, the glaciers and the treaties that we reneged on, and the Canada-US relationship and the oil reserves, and like you have to take in all of this at once. Okay, now how do you feel about climate?
Yeah, I think like my instinct, because like I think this is all like what was intended. It's like this overload of information, trying to process it, trying to have human moments, trying to like reconcile the like, you know, all the conflict and hypocrisy we feel. But like I think that another instinct in me is like trying to like do this like complete opposite of like that the information that's coming out of, you know, the performers or performers' mouths is the information overload. And like I'm like, oh, well, but like, what is theater? Like, what can theater do about this stuff? Like, it can do a lot, but like, maybe it's just about like, what if it was one person just like expressing their cluttered mind, and in like a very sort of low tech way? Like, what if it was just like a kind of like, we actually all stop and just listen to this person who is probably going through similar overload to us, and maybe it's just lit by candles or something like that. I don't know, just like, because there's also like a little bit of like hope and dreaming in it that I think is like really beautiful and would be nice to be taken in a way where you could actually really sit with the imagery. Like I dream of being outlived. I dream of, you know, something just looking at a mountain range and tomatoes ripe and too numerous and too many to hold. Like this is like quite beautiful, and like something you want to like, I would love to like meditate on. Like all these things like feel like things you could meditate on, as opposed to just like having them kind of come through one ear and then like mess up in your brain and then go out the other because something else has distracted you. Like that's gonna happen, but I don't know. I think that this might be worth, because it's just so beautifully written, to just be like listened to in like in a very simple communal way.
When you said lit by candles, I thought immediately of, this is just a silly image, but like I thought of someone in a bubble bath ruminating on things.
Yeah, well, that's what it is, right? Rumination and poetry.
The other thing I thought, this is a bit of a departure, but if it was split between multiple performers, and I guess you could think of it as the different voices in your head of one person too, but I thought about in the round, except the audience is in the middle, and then having these things coming at you from all directions around. And then my brain went to like a planetarium with the, like, you know, the dome and the stars and things like that too, which if you did want to do a lot of digital projection-y kind of overload, that just felt interesting to me as well. Those are, yeah, three completely separate ideas from each other. But
But
that's what was in my
not-
brain.
Not necessarily, because now you've got me thinking about combining all of these things. And I'm thinking about, I love this idea of the audience in the round. And I'm not going to let go of cell phones in the theater. But like, what if there's no actors? Everybody sits in the round and everybody has their phone out. And the first person gets texted the first line. And then there's silence, like there's a pause. Like we actually create space between each of these lines so we can hear the poetry. And the whole play is read by the audience through singular line text. And so then you can actually take everything in, and you somehow, I don't know how you would do this, but you somehow create like a meditation, like for the group, through the like space in between and the pauses and the rhythm at which the information is passed. And maybe there's something happening in the middle that is soothing, that is a hug, that is calming. It's like a balm, BALM, for like all of the information that they're receiving. And there's some sort of meditative aspect to what's happening in the center that's encouraging the breath in between the lines. So I don't know if that's a dance piece, if that's like just like candle, like some sort of like light that's like a meditative centerpiece. I don't know. I just like, there could be something really interesting about maintaining the poetry form of this written piece through spoken word that is a collective act of perfect strangers looking at each other. Like it could be really vulnerable and beautiful.
I love that idea.
Like if you did it in like those dome, you know, those spaces that like the
Planetariums. Is that what they're called?
No, it's like there's one in Montreal, and it's like a big dome that has like, you can project on it or play videos on it. It's like I don't know what it's called. It's like a cinema, but like on a domed ceiling.
On a dome, yeah.
That's I think exactly what I mean. I don't know if planetarium is like a regional word, but I think they might be the same thing.
They probably are. But yeah, like if it was just the stars, like projected over top, and like maybe like, I don't know, maybe there's something about being in nature, like almost like you're in nature. I don't know. Like a commentary on being connected.
I mean, would it be better to simulate nature in an interior or just be out in nature for real?
Maybe that too. Like laying on your, like the audience could lay on their back and like speak the words out loud. Like, I don't know. It's like it's like a spoken meditation, I'm imagining. But like the commentary is that it's coming through our phones, where a lot of this information does come from. And it's a way to like try to reclaim that experience somehow collectively through theater. That's a thought. That's an idea.
Such a beautiful play. Hard to call it a play. It made me really like, well, lots about it made me sad. Like there's some things that are so big that like they don't immediately just make me like, they're just like very hard to process. But like the idea that I'm trying to teach my dog to pee outside, and he he perceives being outdoors as a kind of punishment. It's like, oh, that's just like, oh.
Yeah.
I think it's like, if this reminds me of broken telephone, but with someone, you know, when you like are waiting for someone to send you like a message.
No, I think it's good to like the lag of like letting each image sit, and like also the bravery it takes for someone to read a message out loud to a group of people they don't know, I think is really like, could be really cool way to stage this.
I'd like to try it just like in a rehearsal room and see what it feels like. Cause like my heart is already leaping just thinking about the rush that comes when you receive a text, and then like how intimate it would feel to like say it out loud.
And maybe like, I don't know, because I think like another piece of this, like I always kind of wonder, how do we get people to put down their phones? And maybe it's like once you get your text and you read it, then you turn your phone off. Like that's enough for your phone for the rest of this event or something, something to encourage them more into this space. Because I feel like even the anticipation of knowing that you're gonna get a text, and like it's like this phantom limb that like you can't help but think about,
What if after you say your line, you like turn your phone on flashlight and you put it in the center, and like there's like some sort of like light like effect that is illuminated, like it's like a sculpture or something that like doesn't appear until everyone has put their phones underneath it.
Okay, I have an idea building on this idea.
Tell me.
What if it is like some kind of like a glass surface with like a large like basin of water underneath, and you have to put your flashlight on and down on the screen, and then the water would illuminate like the planetarium roof or whatever. So essentially we're creating like a water ripple reflection from reflecting the light of the phone down on the water and then like up to the ceiling type thing. I don't know if it would work. Maybe
I don't
not
either.
But like maybe it would. we could help.
Like people would hate us so much for this. They'd be like, okay, you want me to read out loud and then you want me to put my phone in the middle of the room over water. But like, let's do it.
You could also do, I mean, this is the anxiety disorder in me talking. But I'm like, I go to improv shows and I'm like, please, let's not sit on the end of the row. You could also do, is it, I'm going to get it wrong. Is it White Rabbit, Red Rabbit? That play where trained actors perform it, but they've never seen the script before. They get to open the script either on stage or right before or something like that. So you could do it with a bunch of people who knew what they were in for, who get it on their phones and do it. And I'm just imagining like just sitting there and listening to it and watching all of it could also be, you'd have two levels of the experience.
Yeah,
that's true.
Really smart. Like I think there should be like a full participation version where like it's mostly actors in the center ring, but there's a few spots for audience if they really want to participate. And then you have like another circle that watches the engagement.
Because then the anticipation with the phone would still be real, but perhaps a little tempered also.
Yeah, I think that's like really considerate to like give people the option to participate or to just witness. As much as I sometimes love like shocking people into experiences, I just don't know if that's like the spirit of this play
of meditation.
Yeah.
I'm like really keen on trying this, guys. Let's do it. Let's do group meditation with cell phones.
All right, Alex, you have a seed concept.
I have a million seed concepts just from tonight. My work here is done. We have 10 minutes left. Should we do one more play? Do we have time?
I don't feel like we have time.
Yeah, like I don't want to rush read or a conversation. Like I feel like these conversations have been pretty rich. And I'm like, I feel like, wow, like definitely we like jammed on ideas for all of them. And like, they were all like, really meaty short plays. Like I was none where I was just like, meh, next play.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I think that was good. Let's stop now because
leave it there.
Stop while we're ahead, right?
Out of curiosity, is there any sort of way to group chat with the other people participating in the charrette, or is there any plan for something?
We haven't set that up yet, but we could look into it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be fun to be able to like carry these conversations on and get to know each other the way we do when we're in person, but we can't be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tricky because I don't know what platforms everyone's on except for email. So like definitely you can reply all to the emails to just like, I would encourage that actually. The weeklies are a great place. Like if you ever have something you wanted to share with the group, but like, I don't know, would you suggest like another platform for like more casual chat?
I did this opera hackathon over the summer, and we used Discord for that. I don't know if anyone else is familiar, but it's sort of a group chatting platform. And then I've also done a lot of Slack this year, but I think Slack has, the reason we didn't do Slack for the opera hack was that the free version had a limit on participants, whereas Discord did not have a limit. And I mean, everyone's kind of abandoned it now that the event is done, but the conversation was happening for the couple weeks that the program was active. So I don't know, it's just thought.
Yeah.
I think there's value in like having that like more casual chat channel. I'm somewhat familiar with Discord, and I have it. I pretty much got it for online theater experiences, which made use of it, and I don't use it regularly, but like could definitely make like a charrette channel.
Yeah, well, we just moved like our group friend chat to Discord because we were on Facebook Messenger, and I'm like, I would like less to do with Zuckerberg. Can we do something else? So,
well, Kristen, do you want to like just set one up?
Sure.
And just reply all to the weekly, and then it's there, and then it's like people can use it if they want, and if they don't, like I almost feel like it's better coming from you in that sense, because then there isn't the expectation for it to be part of the participation in the event, but just like instinct that you had as a participant to invite people to.
Cool.
You know,
as long as I can say that I have your blessing to do it.
Oh, you all have all of our blessings to like literally be inspired to do anything, and that's why I'm like, you know what, take it away. That's the point of the group, is like to have the agency to do what you need to do to feel connected.
Cool.
Yeah. Yay. I've never tried it, but I'll try it.
Apparently it's what all the kids use and all the gamers use it. It's for like, they use it for like audio chat while they're playing games, because I think it takes up like a very small bandwidth on your computer as opposed to other messaging and chat softwares. Like apparently people just do audio chat and not video chat on Discord. Like I video called someone and they're like, why are you doing this? I was using Discord wrong, apparently.
I've never done video or audio with it. I've only ever done just text chat.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it'd be good to try. And I also, the other reason why I want you to set it up is because I'm like notoriously bad at chatting. And then I won't feel like, oh no, I've let everyone down. So if it's a medium you like, then I think you should do it, because then it's like more likely to like take off. Whereas if I do it, it'll be like, hey guys, and then that'll be my only message.
Well, I'm super down for it because like I've just been writing notes as we read, but I'd be very open to just writing them right into the Discord, you know, like reading notes. Like, because if we had, I don't know, a group chat or like a channel or something, I don't really know how it works, but like reading or design chats, like.
Yeah, I think you can set up as many different channels as you want. So like for the opera hack, we had a couple of like just main chat room, and then like logistical question channels. And then there were 16 different challenges. So each challenge had a chat room, and like you could be in all of them or not.
That's a good idea, Michelle. If you wanted to like have a room just for like notes, because you're going to be in most every session anyways.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be in most, and like I feel like, yeah, because I'm just writing down things like so I can remember like what our conversations were. But like if we set up a Discord, I'm very happy to, because I wasn't even planning on necessarily sharing these, but I'm happy to just like use it as my note taking thing so that people can like kind of know what we talked about.
It's almost like a rehearsal report.
Yeah, I mean, if someone doesn't want to listen to the entire 2-hour recording and they just want to like, yeah, exactly. This the future of rehearsal reports is Discord channels.
I love it. I had a show I was working on last year that used Slack or oh, not last year, 2 years ago. Sorry. The last show I actually worked on that used Slack, and there was like a costumes channel, and there was, I don't know, but it was a history piece, and all the cast and production team were on it. And it was interesting, but it got very confusing because they still emailed rehearsal reports. And then I was like, so am I supposed to respond to the notes in email, or do you want me to Slack you, or like, am I doing this?
Right.
Classic.
So that's maybe like worth just saying that Discord is like optional, but encouraged if you like that platform. And we're still going to communicate all pertinent information through the weekly. So I'll mention that. Yeah, if you're down for it, Kristen, like I'll mention in the weekly that I'm going to send out tomorrow evening that we may start one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get it set up before then. Trying to think. We'll see. We'll see if
I'm gonna hint at it, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. Yeah.
So I can reply whenever it's ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely have time over the weekend.
Cool.
And then I think like what could be cool too is there could be like a seed concept chat area where you could like send more like things that you don't want to put on your social media per se, but like I'm working on this, you know, we can share more that way, because that's not as fun to do via email either.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Amazing.
Thank you.
Cool.
Okay, well, on that note, that's our first reading session in the bag. And thank you all for coming. It was so fun.
Yeah, this was great. It was really nice to see you again or meet you. Felt like really familiar. Like, can't believe it's been 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Thank you for setting this up again, because I'm very excited to be participating again.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to say good night.
Hey.
See you all next
Good
time.
night. Bye, everybody.
Bye.